So I've got something I need to say. It's going to be a little cringy, and I ask that you just give me some grace. If you're new here, my name is Kim, and I have lost 80 pounds so far leveraging GLP-1 medications. An example would be Manjaro, which is a GLP-1 and GIP. I use it to treat a metabolic disorder, insulin resistance, and obesity. I also run a podcast here called the Plus SideZ. The content is driven by stories from this community, as well as doctors that come on to validate those stories with facts, science, and data. But what you might not know about me is that I used to be really, really creative. But I had a very traumatic experience in college where I was SA'd. And even though I have always struggled with the disease of obesity for as long as I can remember, this is where it got really bad for me. I did not know how to deal or process trauma, and the doctors that I went to put me on a medication that made me gain 100 pounds, like that. Eventually, I had lap band surgery and lost about 70 or 80 pounds. And then I got pregnant pretty quickly and had a couple miscarriages before I finally was able to have my son. And I very much wish I could have had more children, but my hormones were so messed up, I just couldn't. And that makes me sad, because there's nothing I love more than being a mother. After I had my son, my weight just wasn't budging anymore, and I gave up. Until I finally went to my doctor and did a physical, of which we found out there were some things that were out of control, we needed to get in control, and my doctor put me on Saxenda. Once I got to a certain milligram of Saxenda, I first experienced not having food noise. During this hormonal dysregulation that I had also began to have more issues with anxiety, obsessive worry, constantly in my brain, and I faked it really well in life, but it was torture. And this medication treated all the things, because it turns out it was coming from one place. I feel like every 2 months or so, people will make TikToks about these medications that are just straight trash and straight lies. And of course, this week we have seen that. Something you may not know about me is I used to be very creative before the SA incident in college. I used to write poetry. And once I got on medication and my hormones were completely dysregulated, that was over for me. I had no creativity left. None. But since this medication, it's come back. And you can see I make a lot of content, And on top of that, ever since I decided to do this podcast, I've been able to see it in my mind like a symphony, like an orchestra, I could see it. I could see the content, I could see the people, I could see the stories, I could see the magic and how everything could play out. Did I ever think that we would be shattering records for a brand new podcast? No. Did I ever think that we would be helping change lives and people learning that they're not alone and it's not their fault and they would go to their doctor and get on medication? No. Did I hope? Yeah. A lot of times you're going to hear things repeated from me, but I want to assure you that is by design. When you hear a hit song on the radio, you don't always love it right away, right? But they play it over and over and over again, and before you know it, you are singing along. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do everything we can to get loud and change things so that people start singing along. But we need your help. Engagement is free. Liking content that has to do with the plus sides, commenting on it, reposting it, sharing it on other socials, that's free. And it really does help this trend go from that to a movement. And you can be a part of it. The more places you can share this out, the better. And I'm willing to be vulnerable with my story if that is what helps us get the attention of people out there so they come and they realize the podcast is a safe space for them to learn and grow and heal. I ask that you tell people to follow us on YouTube. It's free. It's free. We're going to have a pretty big event this weekend, and I will be recording a lot of stories. It's in Nashville with some amazing creators and even people that don't create much, and that's okay. Follow us on YouTube because I will be posting it there real time. For those of you who have volunteered your time or already engaged and subscribed to the podcast, thank you. Thank you for helping us take this perceived trend and turn it into a movement. It's working. Thanks for listening to my cringy story. I appreciate it. Anything you can do to help would be great.